Morning! My name is Jacek, this is Need More Info, and today we're gonna talk about Ubisoft Forward 2022 showcase, so let's get into it. So yeah, overall, I don't think it was a great showcase. I mean, there were some highlights, especially near the end of the show, but most of the stuff were just updates about their current titles. Which is all well and good if you are into those titles, but I think for an average viewer that was looking for some bombs, for some new announcements, new games, it wasn't that interesting. But it started well enough because they showed some more of Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which is actually one of my most anticipated titles that is coming this year. I love the original game and I think it is still one of the best games on Switch. So I am really excited for the sequel, and it looks like they improved on the aspects of the original title that I think was lacking the most. And I'm talking about the exploration, the things you do between the battles. It seems like it will be more involved, more interesting, and we also have multiple planets to visit, so the environments will change quite often, so I think this will make this aspect better. And I'm surprised they actually also kinda revolutionized the combat, the turn-based combat. Because the original title was more of a straightforward, traditional turn-based title, so you had a square grid and you moved units along the grid, and each turn you could just move a limited number of squares. And in the sequels it looks like they completely removed the grid, you have a total freedom of movement and you have a direct control over each party member, so you can move anywhere. So yeah, it looks like the combat will have a completely different and new feel, so I'm excited for that. They also announced they have big plans for the title, so there will be expansions, new missions, and most importantly, Rayman DLC. And since the Donkey Kong DLC for the original title was so great, I'm hoping this will be similar. So yeah, Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope continues to look great, I'm excited for it, and I was kinda worried they suddenly changed the release date, they maybe move it to the next year, but fortunately it's still coming in October. So yeah, that was definitely a highlight for me, but from this point we're going down, baby. Which brings me to Skull and Bones. I mean, this game doesn't look terrible. The idea seems solid enough, so you take the naval combat from the Assassin's Creed and you put it in a multiplayer game and focus on that, but the game seems to be lacking variety from the gameplay they've shown. I was hoping that maybe naval combat is one aspect and maybe the other is that you can explore, for example, some islands, maybe there's some sword combat and things like that. But in all the promotional materials, every time they're talking about this game, they're talking that the ship is most important, they will be upgrading it, improving, customizing, and the ship is basically you. And I don't want to be a ship, I'm a person. So that's why I'm not really interested in this game. Then there were some Division 2 updates, and I really don't want to be that guy that's saying, oh no, live service games are terrible, they're the scourge of this planet and they should be completely eliminated. I think if you enjoy Division 2, then this is actually great news for you, that the Division 2 will be supported for one more year, they're still putting out content, new modes, that's cool. I'm just not really into Division 2, although I played quite a bit of it and I enjoyed it, but after some time I just got my fill and that's it. I just finished and never came back. They also announced some new free-to-play title for the console in the Division universe, Heartland. They also announced mobile games in the Division universe, in Rainbow Six universe. They really going hard on mobile. They also had some announcements for Trackmania, Riders Republic and some other games, but honestly I wasn't paying attention simply because I'm not into those games and I was waiting for the Assassin's Creed part. And of course there were some Just Dance announcements, and this year it seems like they're going full live service, so probably next year we will not see another Just Dance game, they will just put out new songs, new playlists and things like that, and I think it makes sense for this game. They also announced they partnering with Netflix, so there will be Assassin's Creed series, hopefully it will be better than the movie. And they also announced they will be putting some Ubisoft games on the Netflix games service, and probably that's a service that really needs some spotlight put on it. Because there are actually some cool games there and that you can play on your mobile and they're completely free, there are no microtransactions. I think Netflix has to do something about it because they're not promoting it very well. And now we arrive at, I think, the most interesting part of the show. It was definitely a highlight, but it was still hit or miss due to some icky stuff that I will talk about. So first,
well, will you look at that? Assassin's Creed Mirage, everybody.
This will be more an action-adventure title focused on stealth and assassinations, and I think that's great because I was missing that. The game will come supposedly in 2023, but they are already taking pre-orders even though they haven't showed any gameplay. There were some screenshots, I think they were from the game, but that's it. So you can pre-order the game that you haven't even seen yet and you don't know when it's coming out. So that's weird. It is probably not the first title that did this, but for some reason this really struck me, maybe because I'm really interested in seeing how this game looks and how they improve the stealth and assassination aspects. And then there were some more weird stuff, because seems like they just want to, maybe inflate their stock prices, because they announced Assassin's Creed games using code names. So probably they're not really deep into development of those, but they already announced, showed some graphics, some logos. So first one was Codename Jade. It probably is the farthest along in the development because they actually showed some parts of the gameplay, and it's basically a mobile Assassin's Creed game set in ancient China, which I think is really cool. I hope they implement controller support because playing in the touchscreen will not be a very fun experience. And this game will be coming to Netflix service, so that's cool. Then they announced an Assassin's Creed game that fans were anticipated for a long time, and yeah, it's an Assassin's Creed set in feudal Japan. And I think they are kinda late because Ghost of Tsushima did that already and it was great, so they have to really step it up to top what Ghost of Tsushima did. But either way, I think it will be interesting to see how this game develops, how it will play. And the last one was Codename Hexa, and this is the one that they just showed a logo and that's it. But there's already some information to be found about this title. It's going to be set in the 16th century in Europe during witch trials, and it's going to be a very dark game. Dark in tone, of course. And they said this will be a very different Assassin's Creed game, and it is developed by the developer that created Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I think the game is in good hands. Oh, and there's one more thing I almost forgot about. So I was wondering why in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, even if you do all the main quests, there are no credits, no credit sequence is displayed. So I think I know why now. They will be publishing the last chapter for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It will be a free content update, so most likely this will be the end of the story, the real end of the story. And I think that's it. The Assassin's Creed part of the showcase was interesting, well, definitely the most interesting of all of this showcase, but at the same time it was really weird. Like, really, they trying to show they have so many Assassin's Creed titles in development, and since Assassin's Creed sells, I think that was kinda more for investors than for the players, because for the players there was nothing, no gameplay, no trailer, nothing. And there you have it, Ubisoft Forward 2022 showcase. But Mario plus Rabbids still looks great, so yeah. And that's it. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. And I think the next episode will be more interesting, so see ya there.